You know, there are abuse tactics that are so covert that you don't even know that they're happening, right? They're so subtle, they don't even feel like abuse. They feel like confusion and self-doubt and hurt. And the scariest part is that some men out there are actually studying how to do these, right? You've got men's dating coaches out here teaching these as strategies, ways for them to get the upper hand, to keep you insecure and so that they can stay in control. So while he's busy learning how to run this game on you, how to manipulate you, I figured you deserve to learn how to recognize it so that you can run like hell. Now, these aren't obvious. These are not screaming matches. These are not broken dishes, right? They're actually just the moments that kind of seem too small to matter. They stack up into something really devastating, but not when you're in the throes of it. You won't even notice it. The reason that they're so hard to spot is because they are literally designed to make you doubt that they're even happening. And that is the literal point. So I'm going to expose 5 covert abuse tactics that I wish so much that I had known when I was way younger. Now, if you don't already know me, my name is Lisa Sunny. I am a certified relationship coach and I run Stronger Than Before coaching. I'm the author of 4 books and the creator of the Trauma Bond Recovery course. Let's get into the details here. Okay, so the very first one that I want to talk about is negging. This is an absolutely wild one. It's the sort of backhanded compliment. It's a subtle insult. It's usually delivered with kind of a shrug or a smirk, right? It's not a big deal. It is meant to destabilize your confidence so that you look to him for validation. So it works because it really puts you off balance, right? You feel kind of insulted, but you're also unsure if you were just insulted. Was it a joke? Was it a compliment? Maybe you're being too sensitive. That's the point. So let's get into some really specific examples, okay? Let's say you're dating someone and they say something like, you're cute for someone who doesn't really wear makeup. Or, you're actually fun. I usually avoid girls like you. Who says that? Now, if you're in a relationship, right, it could be something like, you're pretty smart when you're not spiraling. I love how you just don't care what people think, like not even enough to dress up. So they're positioning it as a compliment, right? He's complimenting that you don't care what people think, but the example is offensive. You're way more fun when you're not being emotional. You should smile more. You look intense when you're not serious. Now here's an example of maybe a parent to their child. You're a really good mom. Who'd have ever thought? Now the impact on the victim is really that you're chasing this approval, but you're quietly internalizing that you're never quite enough, right? You're good, but you've just slightly missed the mark. You're good, but not great. And just like that, you are competing for the affection of a person who decided that they're above you. Now, the next tactic is dog whistling. Now, this is a coded message that kind of sounds neutral to other people, but it's actually designed to target you. This is custom abuse. This is bespoke abuse. It really hits your insecurities or it hits a recent conflict and it makes them sound innocent. It works because nobody else hears it, right? So if you react, you look dramatic, you look crazy, you look ridiculous, and he gets the upper hand and he looks like the reasonable one. So listen to these examples. So let's say you had an argument earlier about not keeping the house clean enough, right? He maybe compared you to his mom. So you move on from that argument until later on. You go to your friend's house for dinner, right? You're going to go visit Tom and Daniela. And he says, when you get there to Daniela, wow, Daniela, your house is so clean. Hey, Lisa, isn't Daniela's house so clean? It's harmless, right? He's just complimenting Daniela's house. What's the big deal? But actually, this isn't about complimenting Daniela. It's a jab at you. It's a public jab at you. And if you say, what the hell? If you call him out on that, he'll fire back, right? Wow, I can't even compliment someone else's house without you getting mad. You get mad at everything. God, you're so ridiculous. And let's say you decide to tell a friend, hey, he did that and it really hurt me. Are you overreacting? He probably didn't mean anything by it. And you look crazy. That's the point. Now you're embarrassed for being hurt, right? You're being gaslighted by him. You're being invalidated by others. Now, let's say this is coming from a parent, right? Because that happens too. Let's say you are self-conscious about formula feeding because you couldn't breastfeed. And at brunch with a friend, your mom smiles and says, some moms really just commit, I guess it's about priorities. The truth is, the impact on you is that you feel humiliated, but you can't explain why. And you're silenced, not by force, but by the subtlety of it. Dog whistles really make you question your instincts and it paints them as blameless. Now, the next tactic is gaslighting, but I actually want to use a very specific form of gaslighting that a lot of people don't know about, which is called DARVO. DARVO is a 3-part tactic: deny the behavior, attack the person calling it out, and reverse victim and offender so that they become the one being harmed. And it works because it confuses the entire dynamic. You started out hurt, and now you're the one who ends up apologizing. Here's an example that I love to use because it really calls out the abusers, even in the comment section. Let's say you find some flirty text messages on your partner's phone. The text messages are totally inappropriate for someone who's in a committed relationship. Here's what's gonna happen when DARVO is being used on you. They're going to deny it, right? That's not what it looks like. And then they're going to attack you. Why are you going through my phone? That's so toxic. And then they're going to reverse it, right? You violated my trust for going through my phone. I don't even feel safe with you anymore. He's demanding an apology. He's hurt. He's betrayed that you went through his phone. And the topic is no longer that you caught them cheating. And that's the point. They want the topic to shift from what they did to what you did. And there are plenty of people in the comment sections of any video I've ever made using that example that double down and say both are equally bad, as if literally catching someone cheating is as bad as the act of cheating itself. You know you're an abuser when, just saying. Now here's another example of DARVO, okay? Let's say you tell him that yelling at you in front of his friends is totally inappropriate. I didn't yell. That's just how I talk, right? There's the denial. Now the attack: you're always looking for drama. You're always starting fights. Attacking you. And then he'll reverse it. I'm always walking on eggshells with you. You twist everything I say. I feel like I can't even talk. He's the victim. So he yelled at you in front of people, and he's the victim for not being able to do that without being called out. It's wild. Now, here's an example between a parent and an adult child, okay? Maybe you tell your mom, I really felt like you played favorites when we were growing up. I always felt like you liked my brother more. Your mom will deny it. I treated you all equally. Then you get the attack. You're always rewriting history. It's exhausting talking to you. And then the reverse victim and offender. Well, I guess I'm just the worst mother in the world then. Isn't it infuriating? She's gonna leave the conversation in tears, and then you leave the conversation filled with guilt. You abandon your own reality and you start managing theirs. DARVO honestly turns your pain into their performance. Now I've got 2 more subtle, covert examples, but if you have liked this video so far, please hit subscribe so you do not miss more videos like this. Let's get into ambient abuse. Really, ambient abuse is really this kind of chronic, low-grade abuse. There's no outbursts, it's no insults, it's just a constant feeling of tension, dismissal, or disrespect that just erodes you over time. And it works so well because you can never point to just one thing. It's not a moment, right? It's an atmosphere. And that makes it so hard to explain even to yourself. So here's a really good example. Let's say you open up about your childhood trauma. Mid-conversation, he gets up and he starts kind of organizing a bookshelf. He's still listening, he's still in the room, but he's turned his back. He's turned his attention onto something else. And you pause and you say, can you just listen? And he says, I am listening. But what he's showing you is that this topic, this conversation, it doesn't matter enough to give you full attention. Another example is maybe you say something like, I've been feeling really sad lately. And he responds with a completely blank face. Okay, so do you want me to order food or something? It's so dismissive. And that's not mean, right? It's not cruel. He's offering you food, but it's emotionally vacant. This makes you start to question if your needs are too much, if you're asking for too much. Ambient abuse is actually just kind of what teaches you to make yourself smaller without ever being told to. Ambient abuse, in all honesty, is a really tricky one because there's plenty of people that will be like, are you kidding me? That's not abuse, which again is kind of the point. It's really hard to detect. When you know that somebody is just genuinely distracted and this isn't a pattern, that might be a situation where it's not abuse, but you would be able to address it with the person and say, hey, you know what? Organizing that bookshelf is making me feel like you're not listening. That person might redirect their attention and do better, try to do better. But someone who doesn't care will mock you for having opinions about this at all. Someone who doesn't care will literally just dismiss what you're even saying and say, what's the big deal? I'm listening. Why can't I organize the bookshelf? You've been asking me to organize the bookshelf. I finally do it and you're still mad. They'll flip it on you. I think one of the trickiest parts about abuse in general, specifically covert abuse, is that alone, any one of these examples, anybody can explain away and say that it's not abuse. So what we're looking for here is patterns. So let's get into the last example. And if I'm being totally honest, this one makes me the most mad. The last covert abuse tactic that I want to talk about is called strategic incompetence. Now, this is when somebody pretends to not understand something that they absolutely do. It's a way to avoid any kind of growth, any accountability, or any change. And here's why it works. It actually shifts the burden to you to over-explain, over-function, to lower your standards, and honestly just give up asking. That's the goal. Now, strategic incompetence, do not confuse that with weaponized incompetence. Weaponized incompetence is sort of like, I can't fold laundry right. It's to get out of doing a task. It is pretending to not know how to do something or doing something badly in order to manipulate your partner into doing it. Weaponized incompetence is not a miscommunication. It's not an issue of, well, we have different standards. It is a willful choice to pretend to not know how to do something, and with the specific intention of making your partner do it instead. Now, strategic incompetence is more like, I don't understand. I don't know why you feel that way. That's so weird. Explain it to me. I don't understand, right? It's to get out of taking accountability. So let's go through some examples here. Let's say you ask for some comfort after a bad day. And they say like, I'm just not good at the emotional stuff. But yet you've seen him comfort his sister when she's going through a breakup. You've seen him comfort his mom, even a coworker. He just doesn't want to offer that effort to you. And he'll tell you he doesn't understand why this is such a big deal. I mean, he's listening. He's sitting right beside you. I don't understand why you're making such a big deal about this. Another example is, let's say you ask him to not text his ex anymore, right? And a week later, you see the text messages. And then he says to you, oh, I didn't realize that no contact meant like not even to text her on her birthday, right? Somehow he only misunderstands when that misunderstanding works in his favor. A lot of times the trick here is just to get you to explain it so many times. And then really the point is you are so confused by how they don't understand that you think that they're not smart. And then you try to explain again. You continue to explain over and over, and you find new ways to explain it, new words, new examples, new scenarios. Imagine they understood the whole time. Strategic incompetence is they do know, and they're pretending to not know, to not understand. It keeps you in that role of explaining and explaining. And often when you're confused, you stay in a bad relationship trying to get them to understand, thinking that if they just understood, it would change. I hate to break it to you, they understand. He already understands. So here's one more example, okay? Let's say you calmly explain why a comment that he made hurts you. I just don't get what I did wrong. I mean, honestly, this feels like a you thing. You explain it again, he still doesn't get it. Now you are frustrated, you are emotional about it, and he's already back on his phone. You start doing all of the emotional labor, right? The explaining, the fixing, the softening, the minimizing. You're doing all this work, but you feel invisible. Strategic incompetence honestly turns empathy into a one-way street. These tactics don't even seem cruel at first, and that's what makes them so dangerous. They're designed to make you feel like you're the one that's overreacting. But if you constantly feel confused and ashamed and small and dismissed, it is not a coincidence that you feel that way consistently. It is by design. That is what covert abuse tactics are meant to do. I'm giving you examples of psychological abuse, emotional abuse, verbal abuse, but the really, really subtle ones. And if these things are going to be taught as manipulation tactics in dating courses, then we're damn sure going to make sure that we're learning these tactics so we can spot them, name them, and avoid them. Comment any really covert abuse tactics that I've missed, or maybe that you'd like to see covered in another video. If you learned something from this video, please share it, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you do not miss any more videos like this.